Disclaimer: the visuals presented in this video are generated using AI technology and are intended for illustrative purposes only. While we aim to provide an engaging representation of the topic, these images are not authentic depictions of historical events, structures, or artifacts. They are purely conceptual and should not be interpreted as factual evidence. For 3,000 years, the desert buried their stories. Queens who wielded daggers and destinies. Lovers who danced with empires. Heretics who rewrote the heavens. Their names were chiseled away, their triumphs twisted into myth. But the sand is shifting now. And the Nile remembers. Behind the towering pyramids and golden tombs, beyond the tales of mighty pharaohs and bloody battles, lies a world hidden from history books, the secret lives of Egyptian royal women. These were not just queens and princesses. They were rulers, spies, high priestesses, and sometimes, even warriors. But what really went on behind the closed doors of the palaces? What untold power did these women wield in an empire dominated by men? Today, we unveil the hidden world of Egypt's royal women, where love, betrayal, ambition, and mysticism shaped the destiny of an ancient civilization. Segment 1: The Power Behind the Throne. While history celebrates the great pharaohs of Egypt, the truth is, many of them would have never succeeded without the women behind them. Egyptian royal women weren't just decorative figures, they held immense influence, sometimes more than the kings themselves. The title, Great Royal Wife, wasn't just a status symbol, it was a position of power. Take Queen Tai, for example, the wife of Pharaoh Amenhotep III. She was not just his consort, but his closest advisor. In fact, foreign rulers wrote letters directly to her, acknowledging her influence over Egyptian politics. When her son Akhenaten changed Egypt's religion, many believe it was Tai who truly pulled the strings behind the scenes. Then there was Hatshepsut, one of the most powerful women in all of ancient history. She didn't just rule Egypt, she took the title of pharaoh itself, even wearing a false beard to assert her dominance. Her reign was one of prosperity, trade, and monumental architecture, yet after her death, her name was erased. Why? Because some believed women weren't meant to wield such power. Segment 2: Love, Politics, and Dangerous Alliances. For Egyptian royal women, marriage wasn't just about love, it was a dangerous game of politics. Many queens and princesses were used as pawns, married off to powerful men to secure alliances. But some women turned these arranged marriages into opportunities for power. Take Cleopatra. She wasn't just a queen, she was a strategist, a linguist, and a master of diplomacy. She seduced two of Rome's most powerful men, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, not just for love, but for political survival. She fought to keep Egypt independent, using her intelligence and charm as weapons. Then there was Nefertiti, the beloved queen of Ramses II. While Cleopatra's story ended in tragedy, Nefertiti's love story was one of devotion. Ramses built an entire temple in her honor, calling her the one for whom the sun shines. Yet behind this romance, she played a crucial role in politics, negotiating treaties and ensuring Egypt's alliances remained strong. But love was not always kind to these women. Many royal wives were abandoned, exiled, or even assassinated when they were no longer useful. And some, like Ankhesenamun, the wife of the famous King Tutankhamun, disappeared from history entirely after their husbands' deaths. Segment 3: The Hidden World of High Priestesses. But not all royal women were queens. Some held an even more mysterious and sacred role, that of the High Priestess of Ammonius. These women weren't just religious figures, they were powerful political players. The God's Wife of Ammonius was one of the most influential titles a woman could hold. These high priestesses controlled temple wealth, influenced government decisions, and were sometimes considered more powerful than the pharaoh's wife. They were seen as the earthly wives of the god Ammonius himself, making them untouchable, revered, and feared. One of the most famous high priestesses was Queen Nefertiti. She was so revered that after her death, she was deified as a goddess. Her influence stretched far beyond religious ceremonies. She controlled vast lands, commanded wealth, and had direct access to the throne. Segment 4, The Mystery of Royal Women's Disappearances. Despite their power, many royal women mysteriously disappeared from historical records. The most famous case? Nefertiti. She was Akhenaten's queen, known for her beauty and influence. She ruled beside him during a radical religious shift, but suddenly, she vanished. Was she murdered? Did she change her identity and rule as Pharaoh Smenkhare? Or did she simply fall out of favor? And she's not the only one. Countless royal women were erased from history, their names scratched off monuments, their tombs left undiscovered. Why? Was it a struggle for power? A desperate attempt by later rulers to remove their influence? Conclusion: the lost legacy of Egyptian royal women. Egypt's royal women were more than just queens and princesses. They were rulers, warriors, priestesses, and strategists. Some shaped the fate of empires, while others disappeared into the shadows of history. But their legacy still lingers, in the towering temples, in the hidden tombs yet to be found, and in the stories waiting to be uncovered. So the next time you hear about Egypt's great pharaohs, remember, their greatest secrets were often held by the women standing beside them. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the lost stories of Egyptian royal women, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. More secrets of the ancient world are waiting to be uncovered, and you won't want to miss them.